Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back again today with another fantasy football video. In today's video, I got Week 10 running back start or sit decisions. I go through every single matchup from Thursday night all the way till Monday night and tell you whether you should start or sit the running backs playing in that game. Now, before I get into all these running back matchups, I'd like to give you guys a word from my sponsor, Overlay, DFS.com. OverlayDFS.com is my favorite website to play daily fantasy on. And it is very, very, very simple. Even I can get and play well on this website. Now, it is very, very simple. Like I said, it's a start-sit format. All you got to do is make 12 picks plus 3 alternate picks, and it is super simple. Pretty much right here, you can see one of the examples here would be Lamar Jackson versus Aaron Rodgers. Personally, Lamar Jackson against the Cincinnati Bengals, I think that is a very easy matchup. So to me, I think he will outscore Aaron Rodgers against the Carolina Panthers. It is that easy. All you got to do is do that 11 more times plus the 3 alternate picks, and you can go and try to win that money. Now, if you go that perfect 12-0 in the $109 game, you could win $28,000. I know that's like a lot of money, but even in the $2 game, you could win roughly $3,500 if you have that beautiful 12-0. Now, if you're in the top 10% of the entries in that contest, you win 9 times your buy-in, which is huge. But before I end this roll, I'd like to actually tell you guys a new strategy that I have discovered that I personally have used the last couple of weeks that I've found some success in. So, say I like Jameis Winston a lot this week to beat Drew Brees. So, I'd pick Jameis Winston against the Arizona Cardinals, and then I'm going to stack him with his wide receiver, Mr. Mike Evans, to beat Tyreek Hill. Because if I personally believe that Jameis Winston is going to have a good game, I also believe Mike Evans will, and then you get 2 correct pretty much for the price of 1. At least to me, that makes a lot of sense, and is something that I like to implore every week on OverlayDFS.com. So, make sure to check them out. Link down below in the description, OverlayDFS.com. And we are back. Make sure to check out OverlayDFS.com. Link down below in the description. Let's get right into this Week 10 running back start or sit decisions. Now, the first game here is the Chargers at the Oakland Raiders on Thursday night. Now, I'm going to be starting up Austin Ekeler in this game, as well as Melvin Gordon for the Chargers. Now, I know last week I really hated on Melvin Gordon. I thought that with Anthony Lynn calling the plays, I thought maybe, just maybe, he would side with Austin Ekeler, who was really performing at the beginning of the season. But now he has clearly shown his hand and has been given the ball to Melvin Gordon. Now, Melvin Gordon and Austin Ekeler both get a lot of opportunities to touch the ball, both running and passing. So I do like both of them this week against the Oakland Raiders. But now I've kind of taken back my words. I believe that Melvin Gordon is the better starting option in fantasy football over Austin Ekeler, but I think this may be a thing that switches on a weekly basis. One game, Austin Ekeler might score the touchdowns, get those pass catching work. Some games it might be Melvin Gordon, so it's really going to be a game-by-game basis, but right now I'm putting most of my faith in Melvin Gordon. Now on the Raiders side of the ball, I'm going to be starting up Josh Jacobs in this game. Josh Jacobs has been playing phenomenal the last couple of weeks when he's healthy. He got banged up in this game, and he's questionable to play. He may or may not play. In my opinion, right now on Wednesday night as I'm recording this, I personally believe Josh Jacobs is going to play, and that's why he's a start for me. Even a banged up Josh Jacobs, I think we'll be able to bang up the Chargers defense knock one time if you're with me. Next game here is the Giants at the Jets, the terrible bowl, the toilet bowl, the shit bowl, whatever you want to call it. This game is not going to be fun to watch. 2 terrible quarterbacks facing up against each other. Obviously, that's going to piss you off if you're a Jets or Giants fan. Kind of making a joke there. But this is pretty easy. You're going to be starting up Saquon Barkley. Obviously, you start him every game. You drafted him top 5 in the draft, likely, pretty much he may have been your number 1 overall pick. So you like Saquon Barkley, you're fucking starting him every single week. Against the Jets defense, he should be able to run free, catch as many balls as he wants, and absolutely have a decent game. Now, Le'Veon Bell, on the other hand, he is obviously a start, but that's only if he's okay. He's banged up. He is saying, out of Le'Veon Bell's mouth, he says he is good to go. So personally, I believe he'll be good to go. But with that said, you obviously have to monitor the injury before you start a guy who's not actually playing. Next game here, we got the Falcons at the New lean Saints. And I'm going to be starting up Devontae Freeman in this game for the Falcons. Devontae Freeman to me is an every week start. Now, while he hasn't been playing that amazing, he's more of an RB2 option. Matt Ryan, Matty Ice likely back in this game. I think that obviously helps Devontae Freeman because now they're not worrying about some old-ass quarterback throwing the ball. They got Matty Ice. So I think that Devontae Freeman will have a pretty good game against the Saints. Now, for the Saints, it's kind of confusing here. Alvin Kamara is a start if he's healthy. I'm not entirely sure if he's healthy right now. It seems like he's going to play, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Now, Latavius Murray is a amazing play, just like Alvin Kamara is. If Kamara is out, Latavius Murray is going to be able to absolutely eat. We saw the last couple of weeks. Obviously, they had a bye last week, but the 2 games without Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray was putting up big boy fantasy numbers. And Latavius Murray is clearly a back that could be a starter in the NFL like we saw in years past on the Raiders. Now, what I think personally is that Latavius Murray, if Kamara is out, is a must start. If Kamara is in, I would be a lot more hesitant to start Latavius Murray this week. Next game here is the Chiefs at the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to be starting up D-Rock Henry in this game. Now, Derrick Henry has actually, he's pretty inconsistent. He gets the ball a lot, but he is inconsistent. When he finds that end zone, when he plays well, like last week, you see him score points. And then there's other games where he gets the ball 20 times and only gets 60 yards, and he just shits the bed on your team. This week against the Chiefs, that defense does not look all that great. I think Derrick Henry will be able to run freely, free willy, and play quite well in this game. Now, I'm going to be sitting down Mr. D. Will and LaShawn McCoy. I know a lot of people are going to be in the comments telling me, Nick, why do you not like Damian Williams that much? He played fucking amazing last week. Well, the thing that I don't like about Damian Williams is his inconsistency. Both of these Chiefs backs are inconsistent. The Titans defense is very good. Obviously, they're a lot better against the pass than the run, but still, Damian Williams is much more of a pass-catching back. He gets his work done in the passing game. Now, while I think that I would prefer to start Damian Williams, I would say I would sit both of them in a lot of situations. But if you're in a tough situation, I would say Damian Williams is worthy of a start. LaShawn McCoy is going to ride the pine for me. He can't hold the ball correctly. He holds it like he's running with fucking bread in his hand, but in reality it's the football, and the bread is the money that he drops and fumbles for you if you gamble on the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, next game here is the Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I'm going to be starting up Mark Ingram in this game. Now, Mark Ingram has been performing just A-okay the last couple of weeks. He started off the season hot. He had a game against the Chiefs where I believe he scored 2 or 3 touchdowns. He went balls deep in that defense. The last couple of weeks, it's been much more of a lower scoring games out of Mark Ingram. But this week against the Cincinnati Bengals, a defense that can't stop anyone. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play because I could score points against the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe Mark Ingram will have a great performance this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now I'm going to be sitting down Joe Mixon and Gio Bernard. Now I know a lot of you guys are going to be in tough situations where you're thinking, do I start Joe Mixon versus someone else? In a lot of situations, you're going to be stuck being that guy who starts Joe Mixon. I know, and you're going to hate it because if he doesn't score that touchdown, he is going to shit the bed in your lineup. And this week against the Ravens, that looked really good against the Patriots. I would be quite worried, but obviously in a lot of situations, Joe Mixon's a guy who drafted early. He's a guy I believed in. His offensive line is fucking terrible. So I would be starting Joe Mixon, but I'm going to be setting him down, but in some situations, you're going to have to start him. And I'm also sitting down his backup, Giovanni Bernard. Next game here is the Bills at the Cleveland Browns. Now, I'm going to be starting up Devin Singletary in this game. Devin Singletary looked to absolutely eviscerate Frank Gore, that old fuck, in the last game. Devin Singletary went balls to the wall and was scoring touchdowns, running it, catching it, doing all the things you want in your fantasy football running back. So I do believe that Devin Singletary would obviously be a start this game against the Browns that are really not looking all that hot. The Browns who allowed Philip Lindsay to get free last week. Now, I am going to be starting Nick Chubb as well. A lot of people are starting to worry. A lot of people are starting to get cautious. They're thinking, Nick Chubb is going to fucking lose all of his work to Kareem Hunt. Nick, you fucking dumbass. All right, that's what they think. They think that Nick Chubb is going to get erased by Kareem Hunt. Well, what I'm reading, and I retweet on Twitter, follow me on Twitter at Notorious Fantasy, or at Notorious FNTSY, click that subscribe button down below. But with that said, I retweeted this thing that says that Kareem Hunt is going to get a decent amount of snaps in this game. But I still think I would lean with Nick Chubb. I think they ease him in. Personally, I think they're going to ease him in, so I would be sitting down Kareem Hunt in this game as well as old man Frank Gore. Next game here is the Cardinals at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to be starting David Johnson if he's healthy. I read earlier today, it seems like David Johnson is healthy. He believes he's healthy, and he believes he's good to go. on Sunday. Now, Kenyon Drake, I'm also going to be starting him even if David Johnson plays, but you're going to have to temper your expectations because he is much more of a flex option now. He would be probably an RB1 or an RB2, a higher end RB2 if David Johnson didn't play, but David Johnson playing, do you think he's actually going to play? Who knows? Because if he plays, they say he's good, and then they sit him on the bench like they did with Chase Edmonds, let Chase Edmonds run free, and then Kenyon Drake will eat. It's a very confusing situation. If you can stay away from both of these guys, I would advise it, but I would be starting both of them if they are both healthy. Now, Ronald Jones is also a start for me, but he's got the next to him. Now, they're saying Bruce Arians, the quarterback whisperers over there, he's telling you that Ronald Jones is the starting running back on the team. Ronald Jones is going to get more touches. Now, we saw last week he did end up getting more touches, but I'm still worried about Ronald Jones, Peyton Barber, Dare Agabaduge, because all of them hurt each other. Now, Ronald Jones got way more snaps than Peyton Barber and Dare last week, but it's a new week. Bruce Arians could be spitting bullshit out of his mouth and could be just running with Peyton Barber as the number one back. But with what we have been told, if Ronald Jones is the clear starter, I would definitely start him in fantasy football this week against the Green Bay Packers, the Cardinals. Now I'm going to be sending down Peyton Barber, Dare, because I think at the end of the day, unless they announce that they are going to be starters, you just have to sit them down. They're not worth a start. Next game here, we got the Lions at the Chicago Bears. Now I'm going to be starting David Montgomery. David Montgomery, everyone's favorite rookie running back. Now, David Montgomery started off this season okay, and then he played like shit, and now he's on a roll. 2 games in a row playing great. This week against the Lions, I am going to put it all on the line. I think David Montgomery is going to skull fuck the Detroit Lions defense. Now, I know the Detroit Lions defense is pretty good, but we saw Aaron Jones eviscerate them. We saw Jamal Williams eviscerate them, and we've seen players at the running back position eviscerate them this year. So I think David Montgomery is going to be in for a huge game this week. I'm going to keep sipping the Kool-Aid because Matt Nagy knows that Mitch Trubisky is fucking terrible and that they are going to have to run the ball. Run the rock. Now, I don't think you have to worry anymore because I really think Matt Nagy realized that Tariq Cohen is not the back they need to run the ball with. That they don't need to run the ball with all these other sorry motherfuckers that are on the team. All right? David Montgomery, locked and loaded, start this week. I'm sitting down Tariq Cohen because I believe that Matt Nagy knows that Tariq Cohen, all he is a fucking receiver. He's not useful in the running back game. If you're in a PPR league, then Tariq Cohen's an okay start, but I still wouldn't love it. If you're in a standard league, you should be nowhere near Tariq Cohen. Now I'm going to be sitting down Mr. J.D. McKissick Titties and T.Y. Johnson, Ty Johnson. Obviously, J.D. McKissick played well last week, but I don't know if I can anticipate that happening again. Ty Johnson, obviously, has shit the bed 2 games in a row, so I just wouldn't start either of them. I'd like to avoid that situation as a whole. Next game here is the Dolphins at the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I'm going to be starting up Marlon Mack in this game. Marlon Mack has been a great back thus far this season. If they're without Jacoby B, they're without Jacoby Money Bags, and it's Brian Hoyer at the quarterback position, I really think that Marlon Mack will be able to flourish without T.Y. Hilton. They're going to like to run the ball and run out the clock in Indianapolis against Miami. Obviously, Miami this is a trap game for Miami. They're getting all hyped. I'm a Dolphins fan. We fucking won a game, and now they're going to get their ass shit rocked by the Colts. I think Marlon Mack is in for a big game. I'm going to be sitting down Mr. KB, Kalen Ballage, and Myles Gaskin, mainly because I don't really know which one is going to be the starter. They tell me it's Kalen Ballage. Kalen Ballage sucks. It may be Myles Gaskins. Obviously, in a shit situation, you're going to be starting Kalen Ballage over Myles Gaskin. Next game here is the Carolina Panthers at the Green Bay Packers, those cheesehead fucks, and you're going to be starting all the running backs in this game. Run CMC. Christian McCaffrey has absolutely been dominant this year. He is matchup proof. It doesn't matter who the fuck he's playing. There could be 30 guys on the defense, and Christian McCaffrey would tell them to hold his jockstrap because he is that unreal of a talent and that unreal of a fantasy asset. You're starting him every single week, no question. You can fucking close your eyes and throw him straight into your lineup. Now, Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, Mr. Matt LaFleur, the coach of the Green Bay Packers, likes to split the touches. He likes to divvy up the wealth on that team, and he gives some to Aaron Jones. He gives some to Jamal Williams, and I think he would still start both of them. Last week, we saw Jamal Williams have the better game than Aaron Jones, but I think this week, it could be the complete opposite. It could be Aaron Jones having the better game, Jamal Williams having a worse game. Obviously, Aaron Jones is a guy you're going to have to be starting in that RB1 or RB2 slot, whereas Jamal Williams is much more of a flex option, but I still like all the running backs in Sunday's affair in Green Bay. Next game here is the Rams at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now I'm going to be starting up Mr. TG31, Todd Gurley. Now, Todd Gurley, he's been playing well. He has been playing well. Obviously, they had a bye last week, so we didn't see how he performed because he was up against fucking no one. He was up against the fucking practice. But but Todd Gurley has actually been performing pretty well. At the beginning of the season, he started up slow. He's obviously a touchdown dependent running back, but against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he's going to be able to run in many of touchdowns this Sunday. On the other side of the ball for the Steelers, I would be starting Mr. James Conner. Now, given James Conner plays, if James Conner is out, you obviously sit him. But if James Conner is out, you got the next man up, Jalen Samuels. We saw Jalen Samuels, if you were in a standard league, actually kind of shit the bed. He didn't really do much in standard, so I would be a bit more worried in standard for starting Jalen Samuels. But in PPR, full or half, Jalen Samuels had quite a game last week, and I personally believe he will have quite a game this week against the Rams, given James Conner sits. Obviously, if James Conner plays, you let Jalen Samuels ride the pine. Next game here is the Vikings at the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm going to be starting up Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott in this game. Dalvin Cook, one of the top running backs in fantasy football. Ezekiel Elliott, one of the top running backs in fantasy football. Neither of these guys are facing too tough of a defensive matchup in this game, so I would obviously just start both of them. You drafted them highly. You traded for them. You love them. You locked and loaded them into your lineup every single week. Now, I'm going to be sitting down Alexander Madison in this game. A lot of people, they try to get cute. I see it all the time. I see people saying, Nick, should I start Alexander Madison or someone else? And usually the answer is the other person, because Alexander Madison is nothing but a handcuff to me. Unless the Vikings go in there and smack up the fucking Cowboys like it's nothing, then Alexander Madison is not going to get enough work to warrant a start in your fantasy football league. Now, next game here is the Seahawks at the 49ers, the Monday night football game. So if you guys ended up making it this far in the video, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. But let's get right into this. This is the final game on the slate. Now, I'm going to be starting up Chris Carson in this game. Now, I know Chris Carson is facing a tough defensive matchup this week against the 49ers, but we saw last week Kenyon Drake carve up the 49ers defense like it was some cake, and I think that Russell Wilson and Mr. Gumchewer, the coach of the Seattle Seahawks, are going to be able to devise a game plan to skull fuck the 49ers. I think that Chris Carson will be one of those main assets for that win, so I like Chris Carson to start in my fantasy football lineup this week against the 49ers. Now, Tevin Coleman, he's got the next to him, because who fucking knows at this point? Tevin Coleman last week shit the bed. The week before, he fucking smacked up your opponent, all right? And then this week against Seattle, I'm nervous. I'm very nervous, but you're obviously going to have to start him, but I would be nervous. Same thing with Matt Breida. He's got the next to him because last week, he went balls to the wall. The week before, he shit the bed. So who really knows what to do with the 49ers backs? I would start both of them, but I would be cautious and treading water with both of them. Obviously, you're going to be sitting down Mr. Rashad Penny. I didn't even put him on the screen because I don't think anyone's really going to start him, but until Chris Carson is hurt, until Chris Carson is dead in a ditch, you cannot start Rashad Penny. He does not get enough work. So thank you guys all for watching this video. If at any point you ended up enjoying, please click that subscribe button down below. Make sure to check out overlaydfs.com. Link down below in the description. Come and play with me. We're going to have quite the ball this week. Thank you guys all so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I love each and every single one of you guys from deep down in my heart. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. If you're watching this on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, have a great rest of that day too. I love you all. Goodbye, my friends.